My apprehension rises as I dial the phone number. I'm in the bedroom because whether he answers or not, but especially if he answers, I don't want my husband to overhear the conversation. The phone starts ringing on the other end. I take a deep breath. What kind of mood will he be in? Will he respond with the truth or shut me down as usual? I need to keep it light, like it's no big deal, just asking. The rules are firmly ingrained. We don't talk about the past. Period. Don't ask questions. Here I am breaking the rules. My older brother Lee and I had minimal contact despite promising to stay in touch after Mom died almost a decade before. When we were kids, I trailed around after him, like annoying little sisters tend to do. Lee seemed to hate me for whatever reasons he had. So like any abused animal or kid, I tried desperately to make him like me, or at least stop calling me names, or holding me down when Mom wasn't around, and squeezing my thighs until I screamed in pain and fear. He also liked to call me names. One night at the dinner table, I blurted out, "Mom, what's a prick?" I was 10 years old. Shocked silence. Then Mom asked quietly, "Where did you hear that word?" "Lee called me that, and I don't know what it means," I said. My mother calmly turned her head toward Lee, who was flushed red and staring down at his plate. Her tone was measured as she said, "Lee, would you care to explain to your little sister exactly what that word means?" Lee mumbled something about it being a bad word. The rest of the meal was eaten in silence. Such was our relationship. After he got married and moved across the country, we didn't stay in touch. By then, I was on my own, and I learned about his rare visits home from my mom and dad. Lee never told me he was coming, and he didn't ask to see me. When his son was born, I sent him a copy of Khalil Gibran's exquisite reflection on parenting, along with my congratulations. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life, longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. He didn't respond, and by that time, I no longer expected he would. The phone rang a third time. I wondered if he had caller ID and knew it was me and deliberately didn't answer. The old shame was pouring in, rushing to fill the familiar holes inside my heart. At the age of 34, I still wanted him to like me. I wanted to understand why he didn't. I don't remember much about our childhood. The story I told was almost rote, repeating the same details. The first story. I am born in San Francisco, California, but moved to Portland, Oregon when I'm 4 years old. My mom, Rihanna, works as a waitress most of the time at the fanciest places in Portland, like the Meyer Frank's Tea Room on the 10th floor of Meyer's department store. But in the summers, she works the West Coast Show's carnival circuit with my father and me and my older brother in tow. Most of my days are spent going round and round on a Ferris wheel, staring up at the bluest skies of midsummer and giggling each time the wheel turns me groundward and the world spins from the dizzy suspension of time and space. I have never spanked, except one time when my father, Galen, thought I lied about who broke our Venetian blinds. He takes me to science museums, exhibits, and the dog races. My father runs for state representative, but loses. He graduates law school, though I don't think he works. He briefly has a job at a drive-in movie theater when John Wayne's film, The Longest Day, comes out, about the Normandy Beach landing. Because Mom works nights also, my father takes my brother and me with him and makes us wait in the car. I must have watched that film a dozen times. In 4th grade, I am a junior rose princess bowing in my white taffeta dress embroidered with tiny red roses. I wave from a beflowered float in the Portland Rose Parade. I worship my big brother Lee, who's almost 4 years older than me. My mom misses most of my birthdays because she has to work the Puyallup Fair in Washington State. But she comes home with loads of leftover carnival prizes and stuffed animals, and I have magnificent birthday parties. Once I am stung on my hand by a bumblebee. I thought if I held still, the bee would be charmed and follow me around like it did in the movie Snow White. But instead, the bee betrayed me with its stinger, which is why I don't trust bees. My mom and I share special times at Woolworth's 5 and dime store sipping a fountain Coke. I take ballet for 4 years and perform on stage. I love to roller skate down the sidewalk. At Christmas, we have a giant tree and tons of presents. I am 10 when my father dies. Something about his heart. Mom marries a really good man named Jim. He is a sergeant in the Marine Corps. My stepfather takes us on our first plane ride and first ride in a station wagon. He takes us shopping in real stores instead of a thrift store. I see live cows when we travel to his parents' dairy farm in Idaho. That was the childhood I remembered. In my mind, each fact appears as a black and white photograph. By the time the phone rang a fourth time, I was suffused with shame. Clearly, he didn't want to talk to me. A tiny whisper in my mind. Just one more ring, then hang up. Hey. Lee's greeting told me he knew it was me. I took a deep breath. Hey, bro, I tried to sound casual. How are things with you? I had rehearsed this conversation in my mind before I dialed, mapping out the words I would say, and then editing and rearranging them. So far, so good. Not bad. What's up? Lee asked. Oh, nothing much. I was wondering about something. See, you know I have this thing about bees? I hoped he knew. Bees terrified me. I avoided going outside for fear of spotting one. One time in high school, I drove a bunch of friends in my VW Bug on a scorching hot day with the windows rolled down. One of my friends said, "Shit, there's a bee in here." I don't remember what happened next, except my friends told me I slammed the brakes on, throwing everyone forward, then opened the door and ran down the street about a block. I remembered the incident with the bumblebee, but I reasoned my paralyzing fear couldn't have been caused by that because I felt more betrayed than afraid. Lee answers, "Yeah, kind of. You always freaked out. Why?" That's what I wanted to know. I chose my next words carefully. See, I got invited to a barbecue next week, and I realized I don't want to go because it'll be outside and there's bees around. I know it sounds stupid. I kind of wondered, do you remember anything about me getting stung or something? I'm just trying to figure out why I'm so afraid of bees. There, I qualified it for him, assuring him I wasn't talking about anything off limits, just a small, harmless question. Not that I remember, he said. Of course, something might have happened in the places we got dumped at every summer. I frowned and said, "What are you talking about?" We traveled with Mom and Galen in the carnival every summer. Lee and I had different fathers. Galen was mine. Lee continued in a casual tone. Nah, that's one of those stories you think is true, but it's not. Galen and Mom dumped us off every summer at different people's places. Don't you remember when we were at Uncle Joe's and I tracked Mom down and I told her to come get us out of there or I was going to take you and leave? I felt numb with disbelief and denial, while my stomach confirmed the truth in his words. Internal explosions gutted me. My voice shook. What? We were at people's houses? For how long? Oh, usually they'd come back for us right before school started, but you remember we had to start at other schools when they didn't get back in time. I didn't remember. Why was my body so numb, my brain frozen? He continued his train of thought. Geez, some of those places I probably blocked out because they were bad, really bad. That's why I got us away from Joe that time. I grasped the phone so tight my hand hurt. I didn't want to hear anymore. I wanted him to stop talking. As bad as it got with Galen screaming and hitting Mom when he was drunk, it was worse at some of those places we stayed, he added. Stop. I had to stop him from saying anything else. I need to go to the bathroom, I said, and quickly hung up. For more than 30 years, I believed that first story I wrote above. I was confident that I had never been abused, and that every summer my brother and I traveled with our parents in the carnival. I remember riding a float in the Portland Rose Parade, and that while my birthday parties were not always on time, they were special. I was certain I studied ballet. Lee's phone call shattered everything I thought I knew about myself, my parents, and my brother. I would eventually find out that only one of the above statements is true.